All right, what's up, guys? Troy from Tad Catters. Today, I want to talk to you guys about bait. I know a lot of people have a hard time catching bait, especially from the bank. It's happened to all of us. I know it happens to me a lot. But what I want to go over is I want to go over how to identify some different types of bait. I know a lot of people get confused on what shad are, or what just any type of bait, skipjack, moon eyes. But I'm going to show you guys some pictures of those, and I'm going to try to explain where I find my bait and where I catch it from the bank. Now, don't get me wrong, if you got a boat, you probably already know all this stuff. But for those of you that do fish from the bank, like I said, I know it's hard sometimes to catch bait in the wintertime. Anytime, really, it can be difficult to catch bait. So, again, stay tuned, and we're going to go over some stuff and maybe learn a little thing. So, hang out, and let's get into this. All right, guys. So what you see here is a common gizzard shad. This is what I normally go to when I catch flatheads and channels and blues. It's normally what I use. It's what a lot of people use. It's usually my go-to bait, but a lot of people get confused. So what I want to do is I want to show you a picture of this, and I want to show you the different types of bait. And like I said, I know a lot of people get confused. So, again, this is a gizzard shad. They get confused a lot of times with moon eyes and different other types of shad. There's American shad, hickory shad, threadfin shad. There's skipjacks, which skipjack, they're not even a true shad. They're herring, and so are moon eyes. But again, this is a true shad, or true gizzard shad, and that's my go-to bait, and it's most of the time, it's what I catch. So here's another picture. What you see here is a threadfin shad, and here in West Virginia, I don't think we have a whole lot of these. I could be wrong. I'm not 100% sure. So, but anyways, this is a threadfin shad, not to be confused with the gizzard shad. I know a lot of people use these, but this is not something that I go to for bait. But anyways, like I said, don't confuse this with a gizzard shad. They're two different types of shad. What you see here is an American shad, and these things are a lot like a skipjack. You can catch these on rod and reel, but in a lot of states, I know that they have to be released because I'm not sure if they're endangered or whatever, but I've used a couple of times, and they're a great bait if you can catch them. But make sure you check your regulations and be sure that you can use these for bait and they're legal in your state. Oh, and here we have the moon eye. The moon eyes, they run in the spring at the locks and dams, and a lot of times you can catch them when the current seams. You can use anything from like a trout magnet to any types of little bugs, crickets, beetles, just about anything. I use mealworms and a bobber, and it's kind of like trout fishing. When you get into these things, you can catch 100 of them in no time. But they're great bait. They don't freeze well. I prefer to use these fresh. But like I said, these are great bait, and you can catch these around locks and dams in the spring and sometimes in the summertime. But a lot of people confuse these with shad as well. Gizzard shad, I've seen a lot of people catch these and say, I got some shad for bait. Well, looks to me like you got some moon eyes for bait. But anyways, they're great bait. And here we have the hickory shad. I think a lot of states have these as protected. When you catch these, you have to throw them back. I've heard some people use them as bait before, but always check your state regulations to make sure everything's legal. I know we don't catch these here in West Virginia, but they're a lot like a skipjack. They'll hit crappie jigs, minnows, and stuff like that. And last but not least, here we have the common creek chub. We all know that we can go down to the creek and take some crickets or some mealworms or bread, bacon, night crawlers, whatever you got. These things will hit anything if they're big enough. You can catch them in minnow traps, but I've also heard these be confused with other types of bait, such as shad and other things. But now let me get into telling you guys, or showing you guys, so should I say, where you can catch shad at multiple times of the year. A lot of these places will hold shad year round, and let's get into this and stick with me here. All right, guys. Like I said, those are the different types of baits that you can catch, and a lot of people confuse with each other. Like I said, I'm gonna show you guys where you can catch bait this time of year, or any time of year for that matter. Most of these places I'm gonna show you will hold shad. Must be cold in here. I'm in my garage. But anyways, most of these places will hold shad year round. A lot of times you can catch shad and stuff in the spring at the locks and dams. Be careful when you're using your throw nets. Make sure to check your local laws and regulations to make sure you're using the right size nets, because I've seen multiple people get some tickets and getting their nets taken because they're using too big of a net. But anyways, let's get into this. All right, what you're gonna see here is a steep bank. Yeah, I was drawing a couple trees and maybe a little bush here, but this is a steep bank. If you find these steep banks, usually you're gonna find some deeper water, and especially in this time of year, these shad they'll go to deeper water, and a lot of times you guys, it might be a little tough to throw your net off of a steep bank like that, but most of the time you're gonna catch some shad right there, and most of the time it's gonna be enough to use. All right, guys, the next thing I want to show you is where you can find shad year-round. As you can see, I've marked the main river and this shallow backwater. These shad will stack up in these backwaters year-round. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that they're always going to be in there thick like they would be at a certain time of year, but you can always go to these backwaters and most of the time find enough shad to use. I can tell you multiple times, this is my go-to spot to catch shad. But they're always there. I'm not going to say you're always going to catch, 50 of them, but like I said, most of the time you're going to catch enough to use. Sizes usually range. Sometimes I'll go through there and I'll catch, 12, 13, 14-inch shad, and other times of the year I can go there and catch 1,000 2-inch shad. But again, these shallow backwaters off the main river will always hold shad year round. So find you a spot on the bank where you can get to these backwaters and throw your net, and just keep throwing until you find them, because more than likely they're in there. All right, guys. The next thing I want to show you is another one of my go-to spots to find these gizzard shad, and it's a little pond. A lot of these ponds will have overflows that go into the river, and when the river gets up, those shad will go through those overflows and get stuck in the ponds. So, after a flood, those ponds are, now stocked with shad, and you can go there and throw your net off the bank and catch you some shad to use for bait. All right, guys, that's probably it for this video. I hope this video helped you guys be able to identify, the bait you're catching and not confuse it with other things. And I also hope it will be able to help you go out and find your own bait where you're able to get on some good fish. I know, like I said, a lot of guys from the bank have a hard time catching bait. So, like I said, I hope this helps you. Guys on the boat, like I said, you probably already know about these spots, or spots like these. One more thing I want to tell you guys: a lot of times in the summertime and in the winter, look for water discharges. Water discharges are a good place to catch shad. A lot of times year round, because in the wintertime, a lot of times those water discharges, they'll be a lot warmer than the river water, and those shad will stack up in there. And but anyways, look for them around concrete structures, boat ramps. That concrete holds heat. Concrete pillars, structures such as that. A lot of times you can see those, what I call BRTs. They are old, I guess, barge dock type. I guess the barges dock up to them or something, or tie off to them. But they're metal, and I'm pretty sure they're filled with concrete. And those things will store heat. And a lot of times those shad will get around that because it gives off heat. And a lot of algae grows on that stuff. And something I didn't mention before about gizzard shad was, I don't know if anybody knows this, which I'm sure a lot of you do, but gizzard shad will not take a hook. I've argued with people the whole time I've been fishing. Gizzard shad, they feed on algae, plankton, stuff like that. They will not take a hook, so therefore, fishing for them with a hook is kind of pointless. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you can't snag them, because I've seen people do that, and I've done it, by accident bass fishing. But they will not take a hook. And again, thanks for watching, guys. I hope this helped out. And don't forget to click the like button and subscribe and share this video. So we'll see you next time on Tad Catter Fishing.